This is Child Development 107. This is week 2. We are talking about chapter 1 and a bunch of the other things in class. So right now I was asking about notes. How do you guys take notes? What is your style? When is a good time for you? How do you guys do your notes? Because I did put examples in there on how to do notes, but I want to hear from you guys. Do you guys read the whole chapter first and then go back and take notes? Do you take notes? Okay, so Kitty says, I use OneNote, very cool, as my note-taking platform, and I use headers and bullet points as I read along. That's perfect. OneNote is great too because it's all in one spot when you're done. You have everything stuck in OneNote, which is great because you can always go back to one spot to do it, which is great. Do you guys audio type your notes? Because I think OneNote has that feature. If you're great with your fingers, go for it. Me, not so great with my fingers. Okay, so so Nicole's asking the guidelines. Okay, so if you are typing, it is kind of like single space, but when you have bullets, it's not a full line. So keep it single space, and that ends up being about 2 pages at the least. Now, I do share an example. If you dig down, my example for chapter 1 is like 7 pages. Now, that doesn't mean you have to do it that way. That's just my compulsive way that covers all the chapter terminology and whatnot. It's actually an example from chapter 1 from our old book. So there's similar information. So it's not like you're going to cheat if I show you that one. So if you dig around, it's available. If you're handwriting it, handwriting takes a bigger amount of space, right? Unless your handwriting is so small, like typed. Please don't do that because I can't read it either. But handwriting would take 4 pages. Now, again, you can go, I've had people turn in 12 pages of notes. I'm not saying you have to do that, but again, if that's how your brain works, that's how your brain works. You just have to upload the first 2 pages or the first 4 pages. Okay. I'm not going to tell you where to find the example. Oh, that's a great question. I want you guys to poke around. It's available. Hint, hint. It's in one of the modules. Keep looking. Okay. If you can't find it, I'll look in there and make sure it's in there. In fact, I'll go do that right now. But also, if you are like a graphic designer or you're an artist and you like to mind map is where you take the main points of the chapter and then you kind of do like spokes and you use colors and you kind of connect, however you want to do that. If you're a doodler, right? If you can get all the course terminology connected on one page in color, I'm okay with that as well. Now, there's some people who are not great either way. They're not great typing. They don't want to do the audio. They don't want to do the thing. If you want to sit on your bed and give me a 3-minute video on the notes that you would take, or if you're an auditory processor, if you're a kinesthetic processor and you need to pace your space and tell me how that works for you, I'm okay with that as well. But make sure that you keep your recording because I will be asking you to compile all of your notes by the end of the class. Every single chapter note will go into one location by the end of the class. Yeah, everything that you do in this class will get compiled into a portfolio by the end of the class. So don't just like fire off a couple of notes like in a text box and be like, here's my outline. That's cool. You're not going to get the points, and that's fine too. Pick your battles, right? But at the same time, the reason I make you guys do this is that it collects the information. And I also firmly believe that the first time you read something, the first time you write something, the first time you see something is not the first time you understand it. So writing it down, reading it, seeing it, hearing it, doing all those different things will help you retain the information differently. Have you guys ever been like somewhere and you're like you get this lightning bolt of like, oh, that's what that is. Or you see a kid walking by, you're like, oh, well, that's what I learned. It's going to come to you like that. You'll see it in a book and then you'll see it on a kid later. And then you'll be like, oh, there it is. Good. Okay, for the type notes, I know that's single space. Okay, so always in collegiate anything, keep it to 12-point font, right? And keep it into the basic ones. Don't give me papyrus or like Comic Sans or whatever. Just keep it to the basic ones, which is like Arial, Calibri, Times New Roman, Helvetica, Tahoma, Verdana. All the basic stuff, the basic things that APA formatting would accept. So let me pull up the module so we can go through them. So again, the way this class is set up is that the person who wrote this OER book, Open Educational Resource Book, creates the videos. Our time here today is a walkthrough and clarification, okay? Because there's no reason for me to lecture on somebody that's already lecturing, but I like to reinforce what she's saying. I like to answer your questions, point you in the right direction, things like that. So let me pull up our class and go through the pieces that we're talking about. Okay, so first is, let me share the screen. Share screen, hold on. Here we go. Okay, so you may have noticed also the home page that I have. I set up all of these graphics, and these are all hyperlinks. Anytime you see the hand, that means it's a hyperlink. So you can always click here to module 1, right? So each unit is 3 chapters. All these should be linked. And even if you click it and it doesn't take you anywhere, it just means that we're not ready for that chapter yet. Like module 11 is way down the road. And as a reminder, on our syllabus, we have module 1, 2, and 3 in sequential order. All these are all in sequential order, but this module is this particular unit. You're going to do all 3 chapters in a row, one at a time. You guys are going to get comfortable. You're going to get your feet wet. You're going to get like, how do I do this class? And then when we get into unit 2, we're going to start combining the chapters. So I put 4 and 5s together, like the first 2. So physical development and cognitive development. This is typically what students go like, I thought the brain is growing and so is the body. So why are they separate? That is true. And it's 2 of those things. So you'll have these 2 together, 4, 5 together, 7, 8 together, 10, 11 together, 13, 14. And again, how you want to tackle it is up to you, because I really put these 2 due dates together. But if you want to look at these 3 modules as a 2-week module, that's okay as well. So the first week would be this week and second week would be there. But if you want to spread out number 5, it's up to you. Kind of like split the difference. Again, I set it up in a way that you guys get to choose your own adventure. That's how I like doing it here. So when I talk about hints, tips, and tricks, I'm suggesting to go to click your modules, because this is like a bonus module. A lot of times people don't even look at it. Like there's all kinds of cool stuff in there. So if you got through all this course information and prep, great. Okay. If you're not sure what to do, I always tell people go to your grade sheet and work backwards. That's worked for me. You can also go to your to-do list and work from there. It's up to you. Okay. You guys hopefully have poked around the book here. I do want to bring your attention to something in the book. So this is the link to the book. Okay. But it's also a book inside of Social Sciences LibreText. If you back out, LibreText has just a bunch of different titles. And if you look here, this is the thread that gets you back. So early childhood education, if you click here, you're going to see all the books that we have for our department for child development people. All the books here are free. There's only one book that we don't use yet here, and we provide a free copy. Yeah. So again, you're going to choose our book here, Child Growth and Development. And this tells you these are the professors typically at College of the Canyons that put this together. And then, yes, it breaks it down by chapter, but I want to bring your attention to this back part. This ancillary materials, I hate the word ancillary. It's like an old-fashioned term for extra. Okay, extra materials, ancillary. Yeah, we don't need to do that. Okay, all of the PowerPoints for every chapter are here. I just reorganized them into the module by chapter. This is by alphabetical order. That does not work for me. So I took these and put these where they belong, right? But for some reason, if those links aren't working, then you can click here as well. Make sense? Same thing with the next part. Let me go back here. Look at, here's our book. The next part also says video. So look, under ancillary materials, there's 2 sections. So if you hit videos, this is all the videos too. So she does it she separates it out by chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, towards the end, there's not a lot. So I try to put my own 2 cents in there. However, for some reason, if you the links are not working in the module, go back here. Okay. This is where I get the links. I don't make the links. This is where I get them. Now, every once in a while, I have somebody who's emailing me and saying, I can't watch the videos. My question to you is, which browser are you on? It suggests to use Chrome for Canvas and for LibreText. So every once in a while, somebody's like, it's not working. It's not working. I can't watch. I can see any of the videos. Okay, go to the back, go under ancillary materials, go under videos. Can you see them there? No. So if they're not available to you, it might be something on your end. Again, as part of our scavenger hunt, it was like, hey, what's the Canvas hotline number? They are there 24 hours a day, and you pay for that with your student fees. So call them. I do not have access to your computer. I can't fix those sorts of things. There's also a student helpline and whatnot. So make sure you get comfortable with our book. Again, that's in this module. But when we go back to our main modules, you're going to see supportive information. Now, again, I sort of walked you guys through this, but again, poke around. Poke around. Let's see. Study guides, trauma, self-care, extra credit, future teacher resources, a bunch of different things. I do not see the notes. I usually hide it right in here, outlines. These are how-tos right here. These are how-tos. Okay, and I don't see it, so I will make sure, let me write myself it up. I will make sure to upload that. And so it does say chapter 1, but it's from the old book, the book from a year ago. So it's not cheating, but you can't use it because it doesn't follow this book. Okay, so upload chapter 1 notes. Let me see if I can find it right now. Any questions so far? Let me see if I can find it, because I know I gave it to one of my coworkers. One sec. Chapter 1 notes. Outline. Hold on. Chapter 1 outline. There we go. Okay, I will show it to you right now, and then I will upload it just so we have it. Let's do a new share. I believe it's this one. Hold on. Any questions so far? Put it in the chat, or you can just blurt it out. It's fine. Okay. All right. So let me know. Okay, good. Can you see this one? It's a Word document. Okay, cool. All right. So if you see, the bold headers are usually a Roman numeral right here. 1, 2, 3. Now you don't have to do Roman numerals. That's just how I see it. And I told you this one's really long. This is actually only 4 pages, but this is a single space, pretty detailed, right? This information, like, again, it's different. It's a different format. It's our same concept. If you think about it this way, child development hasn't changed in hundreds of years, right? So how one book presents it and how another book presents it, very, very similar. So yeah, our book will talk very, very similar to this outline, but again, this is just an example. Talks about why we study child development and what are periods of development and what are domains of development. And in our book, we don't say psychosocial, we say like emotional, or maybe we do say, and cognitive. So we say things a little bit different, but again, it shows us influence. Now, under each header, you're going to see an A, B, C. Again, you can do that, or you can do bullets. You can do like the dark bullet, and then this is like usually the empty bullet. It's up to you. That, to me, the format is less important than the content, right? And then under each A, B, there's a 1, 2, 3. And then if there's more than under the 1, 2, 3, then it usually goes a small a and a small b. And so again, what I usually tell people is, if you're not sure how to format, don't format. Just type all the information that you think is important, and then go back up in here into this formatting options. You can do that one. You can do the numbers, and you can do bullets. And you can get silly and change bullets and whatever. That's fine. You could put unicorns and whatever. It doesn't matter to me. It's all the same. And this is, again, just really for you. This is not something that needs to be like referenced or APA referenced or anything like that. But speaking of that, let me give you a little heads up since you guys are here. Let me show you in our book how you would reference. So if you were talking about this particular video, let's say I asked in a discussion board or an exam essay, reference the video or be sure to cite your sources. Look at this right here. Maybe you can't see it. Let me see if you can see it. Let me go back. I'm back on our OER book. Right here, it says cite this page. It does this page citation or attribution for you, which is really, really good. I will ask at some point. So I'm showing you there's this cool little feature. So question, you guys have more questions on the outline? Now, if I went back into the module to show you what a mind map looks like, let's do this one. So mind map actually takes you to a video, and I'm not going to watch. I'm not going to show you the whole. I'm not going to show you the whole video, but they do show you what the basics of mind mapping are. Again, those are for people who are visual and color coded and whatnot. Not everybody does it, but if that's your thing, please watch those links. Go back to these links because I put them in there for a reason. So your options here are, let's see. Let me take out MLA. I'm going to take this one out. Cornell notes, mind mapping, outlining, doodle notes. However, let me know. And if you don't see your option here or you're not sure, just ask me. I'll answer you. I'll tell you. Okay, so we're getting more comfortable with Canvas. We did the prep. Here's our book. Here's our supportive information. And now we're in module 1. Now, every module is set up very, very similarly. I'll walk you guys through it again. I know we did it last week, just to kind of give a sneak peek. But again, every module and unit has an introduction. It tells you the goals of the chapter. This backs up the book. So if you see the goals here and the successful completion of each, and then you see it again in the book, it's just for you to get more comfortable with the knowledge. Every once in a while, I have somebody complain, well, it's in 2 places. That's so we can get used to it. We can be exposed to it more than once, right? A little bit more is better than a little bit less. Yeah. Yeah. So again, the learning goals from the chapter come right from the book. And these are the things that I do. And I put in like a quiz or an exam to make sure, did we learn this? Are we quizzing on it, right? And then this kind of gives you an idea of what's up for the week, right? Read it, read the introduction, read the content, do the notes, do the theory to practice, which is the same as a discussion board. And then there's a reflection and quiz. You got it. Again, these times are like guidelines, target dates. If you need extra time, just let me know. Okay. And then I linked here the policy and procedures again to go back, and people forget about certain things. So I try to put hyperlinks when we need to. So just keep clicking next. Chapter 1's pretty basic. I'm gonna have to say it's a nice introduction. Heads up, not all chapters are small. Some chapters are small. As we get into the dogmatic or the really hyper enthusiastic child development parts, which is baby's brains, toddlers play, emotional development, like all these things, you're going to see. So like, for example, I'm going to say like preschool cognitive development, I think has like 12 sections, maybe 9. So when it gets into the real like super duper child development part, this is more theoretical and whatnot in chapter 1. It can get it can get big. So just be warned. So this first chapter is kind of easing people into it. We're talking about, we're going to watch, this is the chapter, and then you're going to watch these, go next, and then you're going to see a section for 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. I've had some people say that's too much. Well, that's the class. Sorry. I didn't write the book, but they break it down into small sections for a reason. Our brain really only like understands small sections at a time. So I actually made this one. This is how it makes sense to me. They say in the book, these 3 areas or these 3 domains of child development overlap. I'm like, well, this is how I see it. So I wanted to share that with you. You always have here a PowerPoint, you have a PDF. I know different devices, and some people want to download it and print it out and have it in their hand and whatnot. Here's that video that came from the course author. I mean, the book's author, Jennifer Paris. And so that's it. Watch the short video. Go here. Here's her PowerPoint. Super, super simple. She is a mom, and she's got twins, I believe, and I think they're under 10. So it's really cool to see somebody who teaches child development and has kids right in the pocket. Because I don't know about you, I was always like, how much does this professor really know about this stuff? I've had professors with no children trying to teach child development, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a different level of knowledge when you actually have the kids. So here's 1.2. Again, periods of development. Just means ages. Periods of development is this fancy term for ages. Then chapter 1.3, this is issues. It's like, what are we talking about? Are we talking about stress, anxiety, their bodies, their, like, what are we talking about? Issues in child development. Right now, what's the biggest issue in child development? The fact that there are kids who have maybe never, ever, ever gone to school without a mask on. And how does that work with language development and reading faces and seeing a teacher smile? Like, these are issues in child development. Yeah. So there are a few different things, and think about it. Kids who are growing up that way, how is that going to carry forward for that entire generation? Wow. Are their language skills going to be, are their communication skills going to be lower? Are their reading people skills going to be lower? Are their interaction skills, like, my friends who are teachers, who are K-12 teachers, they tell me no matter what district, I have friends all over, they have all been told, like, consider all your kids delayed. All your students are delayed. All your students are delayed. Yeah. Just by maybe a few weeks, a few months, but still, that's a lot, right? You could have a typically developed learner who's maybe more in the delayed range. What about a delayed learner? How far are they behind now, right? So 1.4, research methods. We have to say, if we're studying children, has to be clean, right? Meaning we can't just be like, oh, well, my mom's cousin says that, all kids with freckles are hyper. That's not a research method. So this one gets a little specific, a little boring, but we have to talk about that because a lot of people say, oh, well, child development's not a real science. Yes, it is. Follows research methods, follows the clean scientific method. Yeah, absolutely. 1.5, developmental theories. Now, this is where I put in a bunch of videos in, which is great because this is where we start to talk about actually people who have studied child development, who know what they're talking about. Some of them are a little bit out there. Some of them are like super, super focused. But I try to put the shortest videos in possible. Honestly, if they go past 5 minutes, I try to pick a different video. Fair. Because I don't know about you, like I have a pretty short attention span, and I'm thinking like everything is pulling us sideways and all these different things. So keeping it short and simple is way better than like this long, blah, blah, blah. And so if it's a TED talk, I put it in maybe way at the end, right? Why do you think TED Talks are only 12 minutes? Is that even the most sophisticated adult can really only hang in there for 12 minutes? Me? No, I start to do other things during that 12 minutes. So we talk here about Freud. We may have heard about him in psychology. You may have heard him in high school or just in pop culture. Ask yourself as you're learning about Freud, what was his research methods? He really didn't have any research methods. We still study Freud. He didn't do it. He didn't use a scientific method. He just used observation. Observation is one method, but it's not necessarily the cleanest method. Same with Erickson. It's like he observed his own children. Well, does his own children represent everybody? Maybe not. So where Freud talks about 0 to 8, Erickson talks about lifetime, from babies all the way up to adults, which is so fantastic. Love Erickson. Erickson's great. Pavlov is that really basic classical conditioning about the human condition, how we can teach people how to respond to something they didn't even know they were responding to. He learned that theory in a dog. But again, have you ever said to your dog, for my dog, all I have to do is click off her collar, just click it off, and she knows she's getting a bath. What does that collar have to do with the bath? Nothing. But she knows, right? I go, oh, come here, baby, click. And she's like, pure, she runs, right? So I inadvertently paired this click to, she connects it to the bath. She's not wrong. So now what I'm trying to do is unpair it. Is just click it and brush her and put it back on, and click it and hold her and or click it and run around the backyard and put it back on. So I'm trying to get her not so freaked out about it. Now Watson has really took Pavlov to the next level. He really focused on observable behavior. And by the way, a lot of what Watson figured out has created our modern advertisement and marketing, because people really respond to what they see, and people's behavior can actually be manipulated. So really some interesting stuff. But he learned that about children and then extrapolated it to adults. Okay. Skinner's the next piece is when you if you ever took your puppy to puppy preschool or you're teaching a small child how to do something, there's this reward, this constant consistent reward situation. Bandura is the one who says like kids will do what they see, right? Is this little girl hugging this little blow up clown, or is she going to hit it? Well, it depends on what she saw. And if she saw a big brother do it or an adult do it, yeah, big deal. Piaget and Vygotsky, these are the child development guys. Child development people, like these, I guarantee you, Piaget and Vygotsky are like passwords for like a bunch of child development people. And they really talk about children. Now, Piaget focused 100% on cognition. He was the first person that said children have their own brain. Children's brain processes are unique to children. And so he has these 4 stages, and in each stage, there's these little subsets. And he's not wrong. He goes from infancy to about high school, actually, where he stops with the abstract here. And you'll find some of Piaget's theories in things like pop culture, like Disney's Inside Out movie. Yeah, so it's really kind of cool because what he did, again, not superly empirically measured or researched, but he was on the start of something. And had he lived to current days, his theory would have kept developing. I'm always curious to see, like, if Freud was alive today, what he would say. And then Vygotsky is the same thing. He learned things when he's from Eastern Europe, and he learned things in his home country, and then came here and saw the same things happening, and showed that the culture of a family, the culture of how you raise a child, has a lot to do with how that child is raised. And so Piaget and Vygotsky, Piaget and Vygotsky, Piaget and Vygotsky. Again, Piaget cognitive, Vygotsky sociocultural. They're both cognitive, but again, Vygotsky uses this like modeling and observation. When you see a little kid looking at another little kid on how to ride a tricycle, like when's the last time you saw an adult show the kid, oh, okay, this is how you get on a tricycle, and the adult gets on the tricycle? No, there's another kid getting on the tricycle, and Vygotsky says we learn a lot through modeling, which is beautiful. The last theorist here is Yuri Bronfenbrenner. If you're taking 110 with me, this entire class, 110, the entire class is wrapped up around Bronfenbrenner, which is awesome. I really like his stuff, and he was instrumental in getting Head Start started back in the 60s and 70s. So very, 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 very important. So yeah, good stuff here. So this is the theories. This is like the end of the chapter. So now that's it. You have issues and periods and developmental and research methods and theories, right? So 1.1 through 1.5. And then we go next. And then now we get into, this is what we're doing. And if you notice, I put here, what, so what, now what? Let me go to the outline of the model so you can see what that looks like. And, oh, you're not even seeing this right now. Hold on. There we go. Okay, cool. And so you guys can see module 1, see how it's all laid out. So intro, reading, principles, periods, issues, research methods, developmental theories. And then again, these just have like a due date of just read me. So I put like Tuesday as a due date. So Wednesday is a due date. So like sometimes people can read it on Monday. Great. Tuesday, great. By Wednesday, you should be able to read this, right? And once you just click on that page, it comes off your to-do list. It's, again, if you'll see in my course set, if it says 11:59, it's a hey, read me. If it's 8 p.m., it's a hey, do me. Yeah. So this is every week you're going to have module activities, notes, theory to practice, which is like a discussion board, and then chapter 1 reflection journal. The best part is that the notes are the same. So it's going to say chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. So if you're the person who likes to get ahead, go for it. You can get ahead. Yeah. So notice I put a Friday due date, and that's at 8 p.m. And last semester I had them as 5 points, but there's a lot of work involved. So I want to up the points for you guys. So 10 points. Again, when you give me the 2 pages typed, I start grading from the top down. I go, this person most likely wants 10 points. But if it's kind of missing things, or sometimes I see people cutting and pasting in the same line a couple of times, and there's typos, and like the points will start to go down. But 8 out of 10 isn't bad on that. Not so bad. So the last one is I'll go into theory to practice, and I'll go into reflection journal. In fact, I'll do the notes as well as too. And then after all these, you do your quiz, and then you have a summary and then optional feedback. The feedback is like 3 to 5 points based on what you're again, 100% anonymous, nobody sees it. So any questions so far? I'm going to go into the notes just a sec. Okay, I'm sorry, I need some water. 1 second. Okay. So in the chapter 1 intro model, it says notes need to be submitted on Wednesday p.m. But on the notes outline, mine just says an 18. Okay, so I used to have them notes due by Wednesday. Now they're due by Fridays. Make sense? So Friday's the 18th. In the intro, I had it on Wednesday, so I'll go back and fix that. Let's say intro, change Wednesday to Friday. Now, again, Wednesday is also kind of like, I just put it midweek. But again, even if I put it on a Wednesday and you turn it in on a Friday, it's not a problem. But I'll change the verbiage because that irritates me. Excuse me. Okay, so again, I gave you some options here. This is why I do it. These are options. Again, I want every outline is worth 10 points. Let me fix that. That's the downside for changing stuff. I have to go back and do it all, which is not a problem. I will do it. I can always go over 10 points too. I love doing that. When people are like blowing my hair back, it's like, whoa, let me give you. I usually only go like 10 or 20%. So that's like 1 or 2 points. And that's fair. I mean, there's no reason for me to give like 50%. But an extra 5 points, again, is not going to make or break a grade. 2-page single space, handwritten notes, 4 pages are equivalent. Mind map, 1 page in color. Right, so all you do is hit submit, and again, I would suggest that you guys keep your documents, and then I'll show you why we need them at the end. So do Friday 8 p.m. Cool, pretty straightforward. So again, you're going to see the same thing every week. So again, if you want to get ahead, that's a good way to get it. And then there's always a rubric. So same thing. How do I grade? Oops, now I'm gonna have to update that. Okay, rubric, 10 points. 10 points for the notes. Good. Okay, well, thank you for being flexible. If you ever see anything like that, let me know. I will fix it because it's irritating to me. Okay, so there's at the bottom, hit next. And then here's your discussion board. I put theory to practice because like we have ideas in the book, but I want you guys to put it into place. Okay, so today, and this is kind of gives for the people who actually hear or people actually watch the video, this is usually where the biggest questions are, is on the discussion board. Okay, so because we've learned about theories and we've learned about why child development and why are we doing this, I want you to take what you've learned and kind of make your own, right? It's not right, it's not wrong. I've had a couple people really freak out. Well, how would I know that this is right? I was like, it's just your idea. We're putting the mechanics of a theory together. Doesn't mean you have to go out and research it. We're doing what ifs. We're doing what ifs, right? How you do this is the way that you learn how a theory works, how they developed a theory, some of the questions that you come up with on your own is how they came up with their questions. Theories are theories, and everybody's got them. Everybody's got them, really. So here, what we're going to do is at the bottom, you hit reply, right? Make sure you hit your first one, reply here. Don't do the first reply, your first post under your friends, your classmates, because that kind of gets messed up. It's not terrible, but make sure you do your first post first. And yes, I block it. So you have to do your first post first before you see everybody else's. And I know that every once in a while that doesn't exactly work and people kind of do it backwards. Please do your first post first before you're replying to your friends. That's how it works. That's the instruction. So number 1, which theory stood out most to you and why? You may use a phrase, in my opinion. You don't have to use that exact thing, but I need to know it's your opinion. If you come out and you come out swinging and say, the best theory that has ever been invented is Piaget. Well, is that your opinion? Sure, sounds like it. But it sounds like you're trying to say that that's the truth. That's a fact. No, you say or you could say, I really believe, right? I really believe, or I really enjoyed, it made sense to me, in my opinion, right? Because again, this is not something that you need to research. This is your opinion, okay? Chegg can't help you cheat on this. They can't. Which theory was confusing and why? I want to hear what you liked and what you didn't like, right? please use a phrase. The theory that was most confusing to me, or what I didn't understand was, right? Some people are like, okay, so there's 3 theories on behaviorism, but Watson only believed behavior can only be observed. Why? Right? So you could do that. If you could combine 2 theories, what would they be and why? So if you really liked behaviorism, like let's say Skinner, and people only do what they do because they're getting reinforced, like people in social media, they're only becoming content creators so they can get money, right? But then you also want to talk about developmental theory like Erickson. Like, for example, I have a 15-year-old right now, and Erickson says that 15-year-olds are trying to figure out, you guys remember middle school, freshman high school? Figure out what group they belong to, right? Am I in the jocks? Am I with the music people? Am I with the smart people? Am I a cool guy? Am I, right? So he's constantly trying to figure himself out. He's trying to use social media to do that. And it's like, well, first of all, you don't have a phone, bro, for 1,000 reasons. But he really thinks that, if I become a content creator, I will be like a cool guy. And I'm like, yeah, at your developmental stage, that is accurate. So, if I had him do this assignment, he'd probably put those 2 things together, right? So what would those 2 theories mean? I would combine these 2 theories and give it a name, right? You could say Jasmine's behavior stages, or somewhere you could say like, whatever, the funky Freud, right? I always wonder, I don't know if this is my observation. We're talking about Freud. Freud's all about sex, right? Like when he was developing his theory, he was in like the Victorian era. So they were very conservative, very uptight, high collars, women's in corsets, women having hysterics, and this thing, so many things in life that you were not allowed to do. However, that's when pornography was invented, because that's when cameras were invented. They would hide pornography everywhere. I always wonder what Freud would say right now about like pornography, or even like you watch a show on like Peacock, and have you ever noticed like almost like the first time people hook up, they have sex? Like 100 years ago, that was like unheard of, right? And now it's like, oh, like we've been like glancing at each other for 2.5 episodes. We're probably gonna hit it real quick. So I always wonder about like how times have changed and how these theories would apply. But you get to pick the 2 and kind of create your own and name it, right? Doesn't have to go super crazy. But again, what part of child development would you examine? So I would look at cognition or emotions, right? There's 3 areas, right? Body, brain, or emotions. And what parts would you study with your theory? I would study, or I would be curious about adopted kids, or kids going through COVID, or kids who lost a family member to COVID, right? There's a bunch of different things that could be studied right now, right? Or the effects of COVID on college students, things like that. So I gave you a hint here. Use the course terms from 1.1.1. Which domain, age, or issue? Yeah. And lastly, which research method would you use to support your theory? Would you do a survey? Would you do a longitudinal study? How would you support your theory? Now, again, it's not a whole lot, but it looks like it's a couple. Yeah, this one says 3 to 5 sentences each. So that's going to be, 100, 200 words. It's not a whole lot. But here's the piece. Bonus points for correct citations. If you tend to use 1.1, 1.2, anything, just use that citation generator at the top of LibreText. Yeah, kind of gives you super legit stats, right? And that's where you can get the bonus points, right? Bonus points. So then you also have to, I wanted you guys to put that up there, but I didn't put here that you have to respond to your classmates. You don't have to, but this is where I know that you guys are actually connecting. So please do that. Make sure that you respond to at least 2 other people. Good. And just to be fair, I will add that in there. I'll add response. Now, I suggest that people try to get their first post in by Wednesday, just so you can have a conversation with other people, right? So you can have a conversation with other people. But if you do it all on Sunday, nobody can have a conversation with you. You're just like putting out a tweet, and just like, bye, I'm putting out. I hate it when people do that, like on Twitter. They just like say something and then they just like don't ever respond or they don't ever come back to it. And then there's this massive thread. And it's like, at least that's why Reddit's kind of cool, because you can kind of get back and forth. It's kind of cool. So cool stuff in here. So theory to practice. I just call that theory to practice. It's pretty much a discussion board. So last one is a reflection. So now the reflection's in 3 parts. It's 15 points because each part's about 5 points. Reflect on what you've learned, okay, just of this chapter. Oh, I learned this X, Y, and Z about child development, right? It's going to be different for everybody. 5 to 10 sentences. Find an additional resource. This is where people get lost. What do you mean additional resource? Not our book. But I'm going to give you a couple hints right here. If you get stuck, ask yourself, what do I want to know more about from this chapter? So if there was something that popped up with Erickson uses the term arrested development. That's an actual term. And maybe you want to learn more about that. Put in that in Google, see if there's a podcast, a video, an article, a TED Talk, whatever. Share that in this part 2. Find an additional resource. You must include the link or video and cite the source file. Yeah, so you can say, oh yeah, last year I read this video. No, share it for a number of reasons. It reinforces your curiosity. It gives you more information on stuff that wasn't maybe fully covered, because I mean, every chapter can't cover everything. And it gives you ownness, skin in the game, right? On what more's out there. Also, it gives me a bird's eye view of what you think is important. And sometimes I have never seen that article, or I've never seen that resource, and that's really, really cool. Another side note is that when you watch the videos, especially in theories, every video next to it, like at the end of YouTube, there's all these other things that are sort of on that same topic, right? You can go down that rabbit hole. That works too. Yeah. And then lastly, what do you do with this information in your family, community, current and or future career? If you're going to be a parent, if you're going to be a teacher, if you're going to be an SLP, you're going to be a nurse, you're going to be a firefighter, show me what you're going to do with this information. Wait, what? I can use child development later? Kind of. Maybe if you never have children and you never work with children, fine. Will you have children in your family? Yeah. Will there be children in society? Right? Things like that. And so again, I gave you all these other resources, these suggestions for the second part. Podcast, website, book, YouTube video, article, TED Talk. And I put the rubric over there, but it's also down here. This one's out of 15 points. Yeah. Good stuff. And that's it. Then the rest is just a summary. The summary is very similar to the intro. Oh, I'm sorry, the quiz. Super easy. 5 true, false, 5 multiple choice, unlimited time, unlimited attempts, no time limit. So if you're not getting 10 points on this, it's on you. Everybody should be getting 10 points. I don't care if you have to go back to your book 7 times. My suggestion is take the quiz the first time all the way through. You might get them all right. If you don't, then go look it up. Go back and take it. Here's your summary. Again, this is what we did, and this is what we did, and I'll have to fix this one too. Friday. Yeah, and then I think that is it. And then an extra feedback, which would keep, toss, or tweak. Yeah, pretty straightforward. So I'll go back to the module as it laid out. Yeah, so here we go. That's about 11:15-ish. And this is all we did. So every week is going to look like this, except for the weeks that we have 2 of them, which is a lot. So that's why I keep saying, hey, if you want to get ahead and start doing your notes, you might want to start doing that. It's up to you. Good. Okay, so back to you guys. Let's see, what else do I have in chat? Can additional resources be something like from your life or your like on a child? It has to have a link. It has to have a link, right? So you could say how you can do that in part 3. This is how I would use this. And you can share something from your life. This is how I use it. This is how I use it now. That's fine, right? But this part 2 has to be something that's like, maybe we're talking about genetics and heredity and who has blue eyes and who has brown eyes. And you're going to learn more about that. And you find another video on things like that. Similar. Or child's behavior, or why do... I was always mystified why 4-year-olds don't share. Because, right, you know how adults were like, sharing is caring. Listen, a 4-year-old's brain is not even equipped. It's not structured. I don't want to say they're not smart enough. They're just not there yet to share. Have you ever seen a kid, like literally a 4-year-old will walk by another 4-year-old, like bop them on the head and take their dinosaur. And the one, the one just got their, their dinosaur boosted. They're sitting there crying. And then the teacher's like, look what you did. Look, you made your friend cry. Don't you feel bad? And they're like, no, they're just not there yet. Right? A 7-year-old is there. When you say, okay, like, do you want to hurt your friend's feelings, or how would you like it if they did that to you? A 7-year-old could have that conversation. A 4-year-old cannot. And so I was always worried about that with my son. My son's not a really good sharer. He still isn't at 15. And I would say to his preschool teacher, how are you with that? You're with a bunch of kids who are kind of like little toadstools. Like they don't share and they kind of don't care. She's like, yeah, you just get used to it. She's like, if I really wanted empathy, I'd work with the first graders. So yeah, you have to kind of know where a child's brain is to know what's typical or normal or expected behavior. Otherwise, we're the adults having the issue with a child who's just being themselves. And just being themselves. And so this is why I love child development. So to get young people like you guys that are going to be out there in the world saying, I'm at Target at 10 o'clock at night and there's a kid crying. Yes, it's weird. It's annoying. We're like, oh my God, who brought a kid in here? Is crying. Guess what? It's totally normal for a kid to cry. They're tired. They want to go to sleep. Their parents are the ones who dragged them into Target. Right? So a lot of times children are just trying to adjust to what the adults set them up for. So again, as we're learning more about these things, find that additional resource that kind of connects. So it's something that's almost like your brain, how you understand it and how it is in the book. And that connection piece is the thing right in the middle. And so there's always more information out there. I want you guys to be consumers of more than just the book. The book is pretty good. But that's not everything in life, right? The internet is just this vast piece of knowledge. Go find some more information that backs up what we are learning. Cool, good stuff. All right, we covered all the bases. How are you guys doing? Pretty good. And it's not rocket science. Literally, we're not doing chemistry or math or anything like that. This is humans. You guys have already been through it. You might have a child in your bubble. This is not rocket science. Let's not make it harder than it is. And just like keep on track. Also, I would like just to say child development is everywhere around you. If you haven't heard me say this, I like to remind people that no matter what your major is, you were a child, you were developed, you may have had a good upbringing, you may not have had a good upbringing, but all those things create who you are. So child development is everything, is everywhere, is everyone, is every major, is every adult. Right? So we can't skip it anymore. We can't just say, oh, 4-year-olds are 4-year-olds. They're just like little, they're just like made out of rubber and glue and feathers. No, these are smart. And they will tell you, 4-year-olds have no filter. That's why I love 4-year-olds. They'll tell you like, oh, Miss Marianne, your glasses are messed up, or your voice sounds weird today, or you're fat. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Your eyes are working really good today, Johnny. There's no subterfuge. They can't play games with you. They can't, they can try to manipulate, but I just tell parents and adults, who's going to win here? Who's going to win here? Is it the 4-year-old or is it you? If you are getting into a battle of wills with the 4-year-old, you probably already lost. Take a breath. Tell yourself, I'm the adult. I'm the leader in this situation. Even if I don't feel like I know what I'm doing, I know more than the person who's been on the planet for 4 years. I've been here longer. Yeah. So it's just reality. I really just love what we do here because it's just reality. It's every day. Cool. All right. So I am going to let us go. And unless you guys have any questions, and I'm just going to keep doing some grading, and I have my homework right here to change a bunch of things. And I will do that right now before I forget, because if I click off and I go somewhere else, I will get distracted. So I'm going to do it right now and you'll see the updates. Cool. Any other questions? Ask me anytime. I look at my emails, my Canvas inbox, usually in the morning, afternoon, and evenings. And I usually try to get back to you guys in the exact same day. FYI, when you guys contact me, Canvas holds it as it records it. So Every once in a while, I'll have somebody says, well, I emailed you 3 times. I'm like, well, that's interesting. I can go back and look in the analytics and no, you didn't. But if you did, my job, I want to make sure that you get an answer to your question within that day, hopefully the next day. That's my job. Good. All right. We're just starting out and it's really exciting because this is how we set up our pattern for the rest of the semester. Oh, really kind of cool. Cool beans. All right, you guys, so great to see you. Nicole, Katie, Yasmin, Elle, Natalie. Grade show assignments due November. Yes, I still am updating the assignment due dates. I fixed all of March and some of April, and then I gotta fix some other things. Because sometimes, so every semester, every professor does this, we copy one class over to the next class, and sometimes the dates get messed up. So please bear with me, but thank you. Always tell me those things and I'll keep going. And even when I say I'm done, I may have forgotten something or whatever. Just keep reminding me and I'll make it happen. And I'm going to write it here. Due dates. Great. Great job. Edith, Roman. Okay, guys, let me know if there's anything else. I will see you soon. Okay, bye.